playing today. So that's just a thing in and of itself.
Isn't this what...
So I'll be reading this stuff here. Whatever. And I'll have to check Baby J's games because so far all I see is that she plays Fortnite. Oh. All I see is that she plays Fortnite. Yeah. I do have Fortnite, but to be honest, I don't like Fortnite. I don't exactly know how to tell that, so I know it's 8 o'clock. I woke up, get it going. Okay. Patty hated her math teacher. His name was Jim. I just feel like reading this one. This one caught my eye. Well, I was, okay. Patty hated her math teacher. His name was Jim. He was the worst. He was eager to dole out punishment to his students for little things, and his punishments were harsh. He wasn't married, and he didn't seem to have any friends amongst the other teachers. Patty had never seen him smile. When Jim gave Patty a week in punishment, he messed up the blood donation drive that she was organizing, so she went to the hospital to sort it out and discovered Jim had a big secret. He swore her to secrecy, but she wasn't sure she could keep it to herself, and made his behavior at school even more confusing. Patty felt herself blush at the math teacher when the math teacher glared at her. She made the egregious mistake of forgetting what page of textbook they were on. Even worse, she asked the teacher to have her neighbor, if the student was allowed to speak. Despite the teacher's age, his ears were almost supernaturally sharp. So whispering out of question was out of the question, no matter how quiet. Patty sometimes felt like the man could read her thoughts. She regretted asking just as soon as the words left her mouth. Her teacher stopped the lecture mid-sentence, fixed Patty with an icy stare. Patty lowered her hand, and the teacher continued. He probably made her pay for that. She wished she knew what the problem was. Why he was so unpleasant all the time. Maybe it was just his age. Patty got through the rest of the lesson. Predictably, when she got the bell ring, the teacher told her to stay behind. When they were alone, he told the teacher her lack of focus to shut. Patty tried to answer, but he shut her up with a glance. He took a piece of paper from his desk with a small piece of handwriting, wrote a long list of numbers. He has probably been a teacher for God knows how long. The secret's probably he probably has some, I don't know, tragedy someplace. There were pages with numbers from her textbook. Extra homework. Patty realized, well, there goes my weekend. She thought to herself, at least this treatment wasn't personal. The teacher had no patience or tolerance for anything that wasn't exactly his way. Patty had never seen him smile or talk to anyone outside the classroom. His punishments for what
he saw as misbehavior were harsh indeed. Patty's heart sank because the weather was fine and she made plans to hang out with her friends that Sunday night. You know, technically, you don't have to fucking do that. At all. Once you leave that school, and once you come back in, you don't have to do that homework that he gives you. That little piece of extra paper homework right there, you can fucking the next day crumple it up and throw it in his face and say, fuck you, if you really wanted to. I wouldn't suggest it, but you could tell him to go fuck himself, that you have plans, but, you know, but just don't tell him that you'd rather not end up like him. The teacher dismissed her and Patty rushed to her next class. It was English. They were going over some books. Patty couldn't concentrate. She was furious. The injustice of it, the persecuted by a tyrant. Perry thought, her name's Perry? Perry thought to herself, and the sad thing was, she was good at math. She loved the subject. Her last teacher was Mrs. Goble? Gob? What the fuck? She had been great. She was friendly, helpful, and made the subject interesting. Her current teacher, on the other hand, Graves' super technical lecture that he probably had written 50 years ago. Her nice math teacher had left on maternity leave, and it had come to the man that she now deals with. Later found out his name was Jim, but he was a monster. The first time she had seen him, the first time she had seen him, she'd known that math wasn't going to be fun anymore. The one thing that could be said that the one thing that could be said about Jim was that he was not discriminatory at all. He was mean to everyone. Students who were not already good at math seemed to be his biggest pet peeve. And the school soon learned that asking questions was likely to get a rude comment. Yeah, I'm sorry. Truthfully, with how I am now, if he was rude to me, he would have gotten an earful. They would have literally had to drag me out of class because I would be so I would literally lay into him. Nah, I would be done. Wow, that's... I find that weird that they had a new script every day for Scream. Weird. Study shows that rats can learn to drive tiny cars, and they find it relaxing. Well, Takashi 69's one big rat. I love how Trump's an idiot. I agree that chanting lock him up was lock him up basically in a jail cell was the right thing to say. In fact, he made students cry on more than one occasion. Patty had witnessed one of those personally. The teacher handed back a pop quiz, and a good friend of Patty's, Lisa, who was terrible at math, had done really badly. Jim announced Lisa's score in the class and dropped his test down the desk in front of her, used her as an example as why it's important to study. Patty's friend burst into tears and tried to leave the class, only to be stopped by a shout from the teacher. She sat miserably until the bell rang. Nah. That's when I would have literally stood up, pushed her out of the class, and said, don't talk to the students like that, and don't ever do that again, or you won't have a job. Me and my mom will make sure of it. He's the dude, he's the type of math teacher me and my mom will get fired. Okay, or me and that I would get fired. No, I would straight up, he would not have a job anymore. I'm not joking. You don't do that to students. No phones allowed. Another incident that Patty remembered involved a mobile phone. Some kid in her class had his on silent because his sister had gone into labor. His family had promised that they would tell him as soon as the baby was born. Anyway, the kid's phone buzzed and the teacher heard it. He took the device from the kid and handed her. He had a chance to read the message. It told him that he could collect the phone at the end of the day after detention. The kid begged to look at the screen, but Jim didn't budge. You know what I would say? I would say, if you do not give me my phone right now, the second I get home, I'm telling my mom you stole my phone. Or actually, hang on, before you take my phone, I would call the cops because I pay for my own phone. I paid for my own phone, so I bought my own phone. I would call the cops and say, yeah, some man's trying to steal my phone. He'd back off really quickly then. Asking me to go to the bathroom is another ordeal. He never said no exactly, but he made sure the student knew that he'd interrupt class. For some people, this wasn't a problem. For others, this was deeply embarrassing, so they just didn't ask. All in all, Jim was a miserable old man, and his students became a dread sitting in his class. Now Patty had an hour of extra homework because a moment of carelessness. Charity work. On her way home, Patty called up her best friend Chloe and told her about what had happened, because Chloe was furious. It was so unfair. She knew Patty only had a few hours to spare that weekend because of charity work. Patty, you see, Patty's in the process of organizing a blood drive at her school. She was thinking about college, and she needed to do things that might help her get in. So she decided to persuade her fellow students to donate blood. A long weekend. I would not have finished this, and I would have told him to go to hell. I have other things to do. You could punish me any day, out of any time you want, but what I'm doing is more important than what you're doing, what you're making me do. I'm helping people who can't get blood. I'm helping my fellow students give blood. Fuck you. Okay? See, this is the kind of thing that infuriates me now. Because I've had teachers like this. Teachers who are so cruel and so awful that when you look at the scheme of things afterwards, you get furious. Because they're not bad teachers. They're great teachers. And they're teaching you stuff, but they're not helping you. They're teaching and then leaving. That's all they're doing. And if you do have a teacher like this, I do urge you to confront them about it. Confront them. Tell them what you're doing isn't helping your class and what you're doing isn't helping your students. But no one's here to listen to that, so, you know. All weekend, she had worked on the posters, and in the evening, instead of going out with her friends, she opened her math textbook and studied through her punishment exercise. She realized her teacher had given her an extra long assignment, handpicked to waste as much time as possible. And really bothered her, though, she hadn't consulted his best book while listening to the exercise, which meant that he knew all the best punishments to her. Back at school Monday morning, Patty had math first period. She dragged her feet. It was a terrible way to begin the week. She turned the corner and saw quite the scene in the corner. Outside the line was berating her friend Lisa. This was quite enough. Lost her temper and did something absolutely crazy. She walked up to Jim, told him to leave her friend alone. As soon as she said that, the temper in the corridor seemed to drop 20 degrees. Defiance over. Lisa ran off in tears. Jim told Patty that he'd see her after class. Then he turned and stalked into class and briefly considered going to Lisa, but the reason prevailed, and she followed Jim into the classroom and took her seat. She was in enough trouble already. After class, she steeled herself for punishment, but it was worse than she thought. Jim told her that she would be working on more math exercises in detention on Saturday. And I would have told my principal, the fuck I'm coming in on Saturday. I would have told my parents, the fuck I'm going in on Saturday. Fuck you. I remember the first dean of all students in my school, in Pillager. Let's see. He loved to hand out detention to me. Yeah, I blatantly told him several times, that was like towards the end of the school, no, I'm not going to your detention. I have other things to do. I have doctor's appointments. I have therapy appointments. I have doctor's appointments. So you either stop giving me detention because it isn't going to go anywhere, or, I mean, you could always not have a job. I didn't say that, Tim. I didn't say that. You could always not have a job thing. I just basically told him to leave me the fuck alone. And I haven't stood up to anybody since then, though. That's the thing, is really, I hadn't stood up to anybody before that in school. So this meant that she would have to postpone the blood drive because she was going to do it over the weekend. She almost said as much to Jim, then she remembered who she was talking to. But after leaving, she decided to go to complain to the principal. Surely she certainly was worse, disturbing blood donations. No help. Her disappointment with the principal wasn't much help. He said, first of all, it wasn't Patty's place to intervene with a teacher disciplining a student. So Jim was correct in punishing him. Secondly, the blood drive would get just as much blood next week. And she should have thought of that before disrespecting a teacher. Then the principal's face became softer and said sympathetically that Jim was very close to her. Patty realized that was the most support she was going to get from the administration. And that's when I would now see, when I say now, see, as an adult I'm a lot braver than I was when I was a kid. See, I never stood up for myself when I was a kid. I never did any of that. See, now I am more than willing to tell someone off, especially if they're trying to punish me for something that I want to do. Okay, if I stand up for one of my friends and I straight up tell you to fuck off, I don't care if you're a teacher, I don't care if you're the parent, I don't care if you're this, I don't care if you're the president of the fucking United States. If I see you yelling at someone who is in my friend group, or who I know, or who anything, you're gonna be in for some trouble, because I'm gonna fucking tell you to fuck off. And you'd either the two choices you have is you either better fuck off, or I'll make you fuck off. Okay? It's not a joke. Okay? I'm gonna make you fuck off. Okay, I may be nice, gentle, and all this, but if you're yelling at someone I know, I'm gonna make you fuck off. I will lift you up by the back of your shirt and throw you out of whatever place that we're at. If you're gonna yell at my friend, I don't care if you're their parent. I'm gonna pick you up and I'm gonna throw you out. Okay? I am 6'4". I have been picked on, I have been bullied, and I am an asshole. But I cannot stand someone yelling at my friends. Okay? And I will pick you up and I will throw you out. I don't care if you're bigger than me. If you're bigger than me, you're just going to get an ass beating. Okay? I'm just going to beat your ass. Okay, I'm done. I would be done. That evening, she reluctantly picked up and called it. It was a shame she had been so excited. Basically, the plan was to put up posters for the blood drive on Saturday. Personnel from the hospital would be ready to take blood from students who the posters were all ready, and she had organized everything at the hospital. Embarrassing. Patty got through the doctor, helping her with the event. She informed her that the blood drive would have to be. The doctor asked her why, and she was embarrassed and said that Jim was making his presence felt. The doctor didn't seem to mind, though. She reminded Patty that she needed to come in for some bureaucratic issue to fill in a form. Patty decided to go that evening, and she needed to take a mind off the work. At the hospital, she met with a new receptionist that told her she had come from the high school and needed to send support. So the reception asked which high school. Patty told her in something. She said something with her. Oh, you must be Jim. You must know Jim. Isn't he wonderful? Patty looked at her and said, Who did she meet? Jim. Patty knew, and he was her math teacher. Patty asked the receptionist what she indeed meant. The name on the board. Now Patty didn't know what to say and just nodded. How bizarre. How did the receptionist know her math teacher? And how could she possibly have a positive opinion of him? Patty mulled over the mystery and walked to the main door. She paused at the new board, displayed a list of names showing people who had donated blood this month. Patty wondered if she would ever get on that board. Her eyes traveled the list and jumped out of her, and suddenly all became clear. He must have donated a lot of blood, which would have explained how the receptionist knew him as wonderful. Patty wasn't so impressed. She gave blood herself and didn't feel the need to be mean to anyone around her. I suppose that he was polite at the hospital, so of course people would think of him as a good person. Hiding. The next board was at the vending machine. Patty decided to get herself a can of soda before she drove home, but put a quarter in the sun and turned her right, and she would see Jim walking towards the main entrance and her. Patty ducked behind the vending machine until he passed. He didn't see her. She waited a few minutes before walking out herself because she couldn't risk bumping into him in the car park. The next day, she was sitting in math class when she decided that she was going to donate blood that evening to make herself feel better. That was just so aggravating, sitting and watching Jim teaching class. He didn't care about how much he had messed up her weekend. She felt frustrated. Impotent. Giving blood made her feel like she had done something worthwhile. Little did she know that she was going to see something at the hospital that she would never have guessed in a million years. Him again. That evening came. The nurse had completed drawing blood from Patty's arm, dressed the wound, and told Patty she could go. Patty gathered her things and left the room. Then quickly ducked back inside. It was Jim again, walking in her direction. The nurse looked at her. Patty was getting tired of this. Was her teacher following her? She couldn't get away from him anywhere. But then she realized that something didn't add up. Spy work. What the fuck? Jesus Christ, your hair changed color. Holy shit. I'm joking. It's probably not her. Okay. She was at the hospital the previous day. He was at the hospital the previous day. It couldn't be donating blood because you have to wait 2 months before donation. So what was he doing here? Patty decided to investigate it. She moved to the room and turned right, the direction Jim had been going. She had just decided to make it disappear. She followed him, keeping her footsteps quiet, following down the corridor. Patty had turned left and saw Jim turn right into the ward. Stuck up to the door, and she was surprised to see the maternity ward. She looked through the glass of the door, smiling and just needing Jim to take a cubicle. Patty had pushed the door, walked up to the cubicle and opened the curtain to saw that took her breath away. It was unexpected and outlandish. She had lost for words. Aw, cute. Jim was holding a newborn baby, rocking it back and forth, humming a lullaby. There was love in his eyes, and he saw Patty's sheepish grin spread on his face. He found his secret. Jim had been volunteering at the hospital for years. His job was to comfort babies when parents were sick or away. Jim offered Patty a deal. If she kept his secret, he would cancel her Sunday detention. Patty, still stunned and just nodded. Oh wow, that was cute. That was okay. Okay. So he was comforting babies, and he doesn't want anybody to know his tough man facade was broken by that. Okay. Pictures are like a story. Room for one more. You gotta admire a guy's determination to photobomb. Taking a selfie while driving is a risky business, especially when you're on the road. Instead, this girl decided to stay put in a parking lot to capture a photo of herself. You want some cornflakes? Student's best friend. Who doesn't miss packed... the dog. That's, as we to process all the information the professor did, it can sometimes be hard to pay attention, grasping all the information while trying not to have to. That's a service dog, guys. They can't tell him he can't be in there. They grow up so fast. How cute! This little boy is graduating and moving on to a bigger and better as he takes his. Bigger and better. As he takes his monumental graduation photo with his dad, he can't help but notice he seems to be a bit unusually large. The one way it could be somewhat normal if the dad was trying to lend him a hand, literally. Oh, cute. Just hanging out. Okay. Just hanging out. As a parent, there's nothing cuter than a newborn falling asleep in your arm. It's pretty much clearly this father was too beyond Netflix. He didn't realize the placement of his child. Who's the fairest of them all? Cannot answer that without a lawyer. Well, that's awkward. Walking past any reflective window or mirror, it's likely that one of your friends will stop to see how you look to check themselves out while passing. For this friend group, they all decided to take a look at the same time and decided this was making this kind of odd or lucky for people walking past. Well, no shit. Ball game. As you may know, you can't grab there, it's public. Ball games usually consist of peanuts and nice cool refreshment. Beer's so fucking expensive at a ball game. Well, one of those couples in the crowd took peanuts a bit too literally. Check out the interesting and hilarious photo bomb. The sun time. Beach days can easily be the best days, especially when the sun is out to play. Getting that perfect tan is the most women's desire. What if not? It looks like we haven't seen outdoorsy as well. This may be the case for some. So pasty. Titty bitty titty committee. Itty bitty titty committee. Well, a quick look at the picture can't help but instantly hit the next button. The first glance thing that her breast is falling out. On second glance, it's the idea picture of change, and boy, is it hilarious. Yeah. Girl trying her hardest to be a nice back selfie of herself as much as she's trying to accomplish this. Her dog decided that it would be it was a bit too thirsty to make it to the water bowl. Instead, the furry friend went right for the toilet. Funny. I'm not even gonna bother reading that one. What the fuck? Help! It's 5 o'clock somewhere, yeah. For the win! Look, you can't help but spot this something seriously wrong. Oh, ew. Girls' night. Everybody dance now. Oh, sad. Pants off. Bunhead. Mirror selfie. Soldiers, knees and toes. What the fuck? Oh. Okay, seriously, the girl either not paying attention to her friends decided to pull a prank. Because holy, imagine chilling and realizing that there's... Oh! It won't kill her! Oh, she could have a twin. Unless her house is haunted, then we're leaving! Hot and steamy. Ooh. I spy. Look, ma, no pants. Dinner of 4. Strike a pose. Photo bond. Chilling out. When you see it, it's more of a difficult one, which is why the clues will be given. Just think the bench, and hopefully it will come to you soon enough. If not, looking, you will see it. Oh, there's nothing. These make me sick. These benches make me sick. You want to know why? It's because they're trying to keep homeless people out of the park. Action shot. Ooh. Confused. Poor man suffering from what looks like extreme paper turf. And she's showing the audience what happened, but you couldn't help but feel more sorry for the picture. Sorry about the picture than actually. Ew. Television. Well. We didn't let it take class pictures in middle school when we all were so happy to be around each other, except for the one little guy that seems a bit unhappy. Try to find him. This one. And this one. These two seem very, very unhappy. I guess this could count as unhappy too. Oh, and him too. Then there were 6. Friendly faces. Riding Soho. Six Canada. Hot summer days. What can be better? These girls were. Okay. Oh! Stuffed animal party. Grand old time. Penis. Holiday time. Coming in hot. We must say this when you see it. Whoop. Oh, hello there. I think mommy should stop trying to act hot and, and act to try to be a parent. Oh man, I'll more than check out Owen Miller's thing because I really do love elk hunting. I've loved it since I was a kid. Yogi! They got eaten. Oh, did I? Oh! Merry Christmas. That looks like something my aunt would do. That right there. Okay, what's with all the cleavage? United we stand. Check out these planets standing. I like reading this one. Thank you. Da-da-da. Oh! She deserved it. She's a bitch. Yeah. Nah. That is... This one I find hilarious because it's the ultimate EP not getting what they want story. I'm surprised like Molar and Mr. X haven't tried to read this one. the stepdad refuses to pay for his stepdaughter's wedding because she invited her birth father, which is within his right. Words.
He was trying to find the right guitar.
Amazing. Great. He is a great guitarist. Family life is never simple, and everyone has different experiences growing up. Some people's parents stick together throughout their childhood, while other families break up often, though nobody's fault. When these families with children are broken up, there's often some times when the stepfather or mother comes along and changes the dynamic once again. You know, I think stepmothers and stepfathers should... Most cases I see with stepmothers and stepfathers, or stepmothers in general, mostly stepmothers, is that what they do to the guy's kids is they bully them and they hurt them and they do all this and they do all that. Men don't dare, because unless it's like an extreme case where the mother doesn't care, because they usually know that they're replaceable. Sometimes the stepmother doesn't realize that she's replaceable, so she thinks that she can do whatever the fuck she wants. And that's just how some men are, is that you know what, Caitlyn Jenner, nobody gives a shit. Oh, 2 little dachshunds. Mess with the Mew when you get the Pew Pew cute. Yeah. Okay, but these rules only work on Scream, because Scream's a retard. Okay? Guys, there are no rules in horror movies. Scream's a fucking retard who could easily just have a gun pulled out on him and clapped. Like, there is nothing. He just chases after you. And if you trip him too. The only reason that these people died to Scream is because they're fucking retarded. Jesus Christ. I don't know why you just don't get in a car and run his ass over. Families never supposed to. Some people get on well, while others think they are the worst. It's kind of like there are. Sometimes step-parents can be more a role model than a child's actual parent, and the other time they are definitely not. One stepdad had become like a father to his stepdaughter and really threw himself into family life. After helping raise his partner's child over 10 years, he had put his foot down over her and her mother's wedding plans. One user on social commentary site Reddit shared a post onto the subreddit Off My Chest. The user was named Godzilla Moon and had something he needed to say about his stepdaughter and her mother. The guy began his post by announcing that his stepdaughter was getting married, so naturally, she was excited about the big life event. Two was her mother. They were planning the ceremony for 6 months already. The guy was making posts that although his girlfriend, he and his girlfriend are not married, they had been living together for the past 10 years. He felt that long commitment had made him one of the family and meant that he could put his foot down from time to time, taking care of family. The guy had been living with his girlfriend and his daughter for 10 years and had grown close to the family. He did whatever he could to help them out, even paid for his stepdaughter's way through college. The guy admitted that his stepdaughter only went to state school, but still put him $40,000 in the red, thanks to his generosity. He also said she didn't have to have a job in college, so he let her live with them and his girlfriend. Even let her stay after she graduated to find a job after college, so college is often hard for anyone and might just take a bit of time for his stepdaughter to get on her feet in the world. Which, he was being nice. He was being so nice. He's the hero that they needed. But I know when I say I would love to go after an elk with a knife, I know all you are thinking is me going after it with like a samurai sword or something. I mean, no, I'm going after it with a Bowie knife and I'm yelling, "For love in Sparta!" And I am going to try to kill that thing with the knife. Although it can probably run faster than me. This guy was at least claiming to be generous. He said that even before she graduated high school, he bought her a car that could go back and forth easily. Nice car. Now she found the love of her life, and it was time to get married. Yes. Her biological father wasn't always in the scene, and the guy was only too happy to do the traditional thing of pay for the wedding. Even though she wasn't biologically his daughter, he felt enough love for her to spend more of his cash to make her happy. He had helped her through school and college. Wedding would be a breeze. Well, mostly. Because, sort of? You know, I guess you could say a wedding could be a breeze, but a wedding, I've seen weddings. Oh, wow. I must have heard something. Unless that's for me. No, that's for me wearing socks. From when I used to wear socks all the time. Oh, wow. Your gingerbread fails at a dinosaur. Yes. Oh, he's at the dinosaur. Although the guy had been the stepfather to his girlfriend's daughter for over a decade, she decided to have her real dad who would show up occasionally. This guy posted a Reddit claim that the stepdaughter's biological father would turn up every so often, remind his daughter that he was around. When he said the real dad would usually leave after a time, breaking the daughter's heart every single time. Even though he was often absent, the girl loved her biological father. Despite the disappointment, he often left her feeling. Godzilla Moon claimed that the other guy had not paid a cent of child support, nor had he helped with any of her education. Putting his foot, the deadbeat dad, as Reddit user called him, was around again as the wedding drew closer, but had not paid anything toward, leaving that the stepdad a dinner was planned for the in-laws to meet. Things turned sour. The biological father was a surprise guest, and the stepdad and his daughter had an announcement to make. She said that her father agreed to walk her down the aisle, even though he had barely been a part of what's his name? Godzilla Moon, right? Yo. Oh, I don't really know what to play today, so I'm just kind of reading stuff I find on Facebook, and I'm almost done. I only have 3 more posts here left. Maybe I am not logging into this. Okay. Yeah, I have no clue what I want to stream today, so this is just what I'm doing. Okay. Putting his foot down. The deadbeat the reader called him. Okay. The father had agreed to walk her down the aisle, even though he had barely been a part of her life. The guy Reddit lost it and threw everyone out of his house, saying that if the real dad was so important, he could pay for the wedding. He withdrew his cash and kicked his girlfriend out. I would have lost it also. I would have been like, 40K in the hole. You put me 40K in the hole. Nah. Outie. Yeah. Things had been bubbling under the surface for the stepdad for a while. He had paid for the entire wedding, and all he was asked for was inviting a small number of his
see ya.
Yep. A small number of people. The wedding venue held 250, and the stepdad was only asking for 20 of those. He thought it wasn't too much to ask, especially as he was the one funding this party. The things began to spiral out of control, and began to resent how the wedding was shaping up. Request denied. All he wanted from was a few close friends to share the proud moment with. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you pay, you better get what you paid for. Because in my mind, if I'm paying for your wedding, weddings are like, as someone who wanted to be a wedding designer himself, weddings are sometimes go in the 100,000s just for just a small wedding sometimes, or 30, 40,000 for just a small wedding. And it's like, I'm paying my hard-earned money for that. I'm paying my money for this. My hard-earned money for this. And you're telling, I'm almost tempted to... Yeah. I was gonna go, and I was gonna go get to the original post, because I wanted to read the original post to see everything that happened. Request tonight. We had a friend, a few close friends to share a proud moment. He ran into one of his friends at the golf course. She had asked his girlfriend and stepdaughter to invite him. When he got talking to his friend, asked him if he wanted to return. But his friend had some bad news. Yeah, no. He had literally paid for this girl's college. He got her education. He paid for her education. He bought her a car. He let her stay in his house. He let her do all of this stuff. And I wonder how long, okay, if they hadn't invited the actual dad and just let this guy have his friends there, do you think this would have happened? Do you think he would have finally kicked them out afterwards? Because I'm starting to think that maybe it was better for him to kick them out, because it sounds like he was siphoning money off of that. She was siphoning money off of him. All he received was a notice in the mail that the ceremony was happening. No friends were coming. All of the people that had wanted to invite were sent notices. When he asked his girlfriend to step up, they said that 250 was a tight squeeze. 250. Okay, let's say it. Okay, 250. You could fit no one. Okay, first of all, no one has 250 family members unless you are a huge family. No one has 250 friends unless you're extremely popular in town and everybody, and this is Ireland and everybody's coming. Even in Ireland and Scotland, they can fit 250 people or even more into a wedding. Okay, so you're telling me this dad couldn't have 20 friends he's paying, and that he's not, and that your money, and that his money is basically paying for you to marry some bastard, marry some fuckwad who's probably going to take more money from him, or you're going to take more money from, who you're not only going to probably never see your daughter again, or she's going to come asking for, in my family, there was someone called Aunt Judy, who came to my great-great-grandfather, not my grandfather, but my great-great-grandfather, and asked for $5,000 for her wedding because her parents refused to pay for the wedding. Mind you, no one in the family liked Aunt Judy. Everybody loved Uncle Bob, which was my grandfather's brother, but nobody liked Aunt Judy, the person that he was marrying. And Grandpa told her no. My grandpa's dad told her no. She stormed out and was basically acting like a fuck off. like a fucking 5-year-old child the whole time. And it just mind boggles me every time I hear that entitled story. My mom tells it to me all the time whenever she sees something about a wedding. And it's like, oh, I love it. I love hearing it. The stepdaughter about this, it takes squeeze. So the guy who was paying for the entire ceremony no longer had any say in it. I mean, I guess it is the stepdaughter's wedding, but you should have some say. Get what I mean? Like, yeah. Thank you for following. Thank you very much for following. Everybody, go see this dude's channel on Mixer and Twitch. It's both the same name. He's a great streamer. A lot better than me. I'm just boring. I just read shit and play video games. Go see him. He's a great streamer. I think he's still doing Batman. I think he's towards the end of Batman or Arkham Knight. But it's still a good watch, and he's still a good dude. And his request had been ignored. This made him mad, especially after everything he had done for this family. I mean, I guess people could say that he's entitled for saying, well, I want my way or else. But, I mean, I guess it is his money. This made him mad, especially after everything he had done for the family. How could they be so selfish and completely disregard all his effort? This guy asked his friend at the golf course if he still had a wedding notice. Luckily, he had it in his car. Well, where else do you put junk like that? He had it in his car and showed the stepfather. Nowhere in the notice did it mention the stepfather's name. Instead, it had her mother and her biological father on it. This made him even angry. How could his girlfriend, stepdaughter, just ignore everything he was doing? He was the guy paying for the whole wedding after all. I would have... Yeah, thank you very much. I would have gone home. I would have said, I would have told my friend, hang on for a second. Pulled out my phone, called my girlfriend, or girlfriend and stepdaughter, and said, what the fuck? Okay, I'm paying for the wedding. I'm paying for this. I paid for your education. I paid for everything. I've literally for the first, what? He's been there for 10 years? I've been there for 10 years of your life. For 10 years of your life, I've spent upwards of basically all my money, almost all my money on you. I'm earning a lot of money in my job, but you're moving the last part on Mixer. Okay. Go see him on Mixer. Although I thought you were affiliated. So you can't really stream on Mixer or else you'll get in trouble or something. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you really want to, you could, if you use Streamlabs, if you use, Slobs, Streamlabs OBS, you could, get, Mob Crush, and you could do it on, skip frames, you could do it on Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, and YouTube if you really wanted to, but yeah, Twitch is interesting. Going to big fight. The guy was pretty angry because the invitation he had. He spoke to his girlfriend about it, and they ended up having a big fight about the situation. She told him that maybe if some people didn't RSVP, she could squeeze a few of them in. However, this guy thought it was pretty insulting to his friend. He thought it was a slap in the face, and to add things only were going to get worse. He was still boiling a few days later. Thoughts on the real day. The guy added some thoughts on the real day. He said that every time he shows up, the daughter lets him back. Every single time, he lets her down. He'll either skip town or break some promise he made. Hang on. Christ. He breaks some promise he made. Okay. According to the Reddit user, his stepdaughter's biological father was not really her dad. Even though she would fawn all over him, the girl really loved her father and wants him to be a part of her life. So the wedding bombshell was about to be dropped. Her stepfather had a big fight with his girlfriend on Sunday, and now he was expecting to put it all back in the back of his mind. It's so sad that this happened. It was time to meet the enless. With all the other negativity in the end, the last thing the Reddit user needed was a surprise visit from the stepdaughter's real dad. Unfortunately, there he was, which really got Godzilla with blood boiling. It was only the tip of the iceberg, though. Things were going to get much worse. The announcement: the stepdaughter began to make a speech at the dinner. The in-laws, she was delighted to announce that her biological father would be able to make the wedding, and he was coming, and he would be able to give her away. Everyone thought it was great news. Now her real dad would be a part of the ceremony. Well, everyone but the stepfather was happy with this announcement. He was about to explode with a physically shaking. The stepdad said he felt angry and disrespected. He was shaking. He tried to gather his composure as he didn't know whether he was going to cry with sadness or punch someone with anger. After a few moments, he kept his cool and formed a plan in his mind. If these people had no respect for them, then he was going to tell them all where they could go. He stood up from his seat and announced to them that he would like to make a toast. As many people at the dinner did, the stepdad wanted to make a toast. It had probably been a lovely evening for everyone, but it was about to turn into a different direction. They were all clueless to see what was coming. He began his toast with explaining the great pleasure it was to be a part of this family for the past 10 years. He continued and said he owed the bride and groom a debt of gratitude, and they opened his eyes to something important. Hang on to every word. The people in the room were putting in this guy's hands. Were putting in this guy's hands, and he had them listening intently to everything he was saying. I like how I'm getting. I posted something on Facebook that I'm gonna kill an elk with a knife, and I like how the leader of the Whitetail Maniacs liked my comment, like the thing that I posted, and it's like, thanks. People in the room were putting this guy's hand and thinking. He lulled them into thinking everything was going lovely, and then he unleashed his fury. The stepfather thanked the bride and groom for opening his eyes to the fact that his position in the family was not what he thought. Now everyone was looking at each other in confusion. Was this guy serious? Chair's position. The speech wasn't over. Godzilla would continue. He had thought of himself as the godfather of the family, as someone who came to when they were in times of need. What he realized, thanks to the wedding plans, that he was nothing more than an ATM for them. He said they all seen him as a good swimmer of money and not much else. Then came to the final part of the speech, changed the future of everyone in the room. Now, it's sad that he had been replaced as host on both the invitations and now the actual ceremony. He was resigning his financial duties. If the real dad was the host, then it was fair that he paid his way. He finished the speech by cheering the happy couple before telling everyone in the room that they could all let themselves out of his home. After paying his stepdaughter's way for the past 10 years, the stepdad was finally done with it all. The Reddit user finished the post by saying he was done with his stepdaughter, done with his girlfriend, and done with all of it. He withdrew his money from their joint account, and the wedding was no longer on him. Godzilla Moon added that his girlfriend hadn't had a job since she moved in with him, claiming that the money in the joint account was his, and his stepdaughter wanted her real dad to host the wedding, when this guy was only happy to let him, as long as he paid for everything. An update. Godzilla Moon was kind enough to give Reddit users an update on what had happened since he exploded at the dinner table. He said that his girlfriend and his stepdaughter had moved out of his home and moved in with the groom. As far as he could tell, he knew where they were going. As far as he could tell from the people he knew were going to the wedding, they were planning on scaling things back. It was now down to the groom's parents to pay for the wedding, after the stepdad finally put his foot down over the disrespect he felt. Parenting, not cherry picking. At the end of the day, it's not hard to figure out who the real father in this story. The guy, not the biological father or the legal bride's father, or legally the bride's father. He spent 10 years living in the same house as her, effectively raising her. He was doing all of this while the biological father was absent. Parenting, as the mom or dad would tell you, is not picking and choosing which moments you want to be present for. It's about being there for all of them, the good and the bad. Postscript revelations. The guy's girlfriend and her daughter were leaving the home. And the final note of the story was not surprisingly that they did not go gently into the night. In fact, the morning of his toast, his girlfriend gave him a copy of the wedding planner to show how much work he was ruining. Thumbing through it, he found all the songs the father were catered to the real dad's taste. The many contained ingredients that he was allergic to and couldn't help but laugh. Laugh at that. Realizing the bitter truth, after he was laughing, however, he came time to reflect on everything he had found out during the recent events. He admitted that at first he thought they were being merely disrespectful, and now he thought they never really cared at all. Handing the wedding planner back to his girlfriend, he only had one final thing to ask her when they moved out of his home. As he never promised to pay for the wedding, he said it was completely in clear morality. Predicting the future. Regarding the two women's move, the guy said that he found it hard not being petty with all the belongings. They chose to take them. However, he wanted them to be gone. He kept quiet when they left and changed the locks. As for withdrawing the money from the joint account, it turned out that to had been an insightful decision. He had discovered that his daughter had tried to cut herself a check from the money in the account after the day of his announcement. I could feel it coming, he wrote. Concluding this story, Godzilla Moon said that he couldn't believe how popular this story had gotten, and by countless websites commenting on thousands of people. I feel good to be given support by so many, he wrote. He promised to give people the following along the updates regarding how actually the wedding turned out, but he couldn't guarantee that it would actually make a conceited effort to find out completely honest. We're not blaming him. Traditions. Tradition of the families having the tradition of having the father walk the bride down is one that causes drama before. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's wedding, for example. Meghan's dad wasn't in attendance, so Harry's father, Prince Charles, walked her down the aisle. Oh, he's so old. He looks like my nap time is soon after this. But I want cake though. You know what I've noticed, that anytime I go to a wedding cake always tastes awful. Jesus Christ, can't they actually make wedding cake tasty? Other brides, that such a tradition antiquated, since they're making their own choices for the future and do not need a man to give them one. Each bride can choose for herself how she wants to walk down the aisle. Cost of wedding. Today's day and age, weddings have become huge expenses. In fact, the average wedding costs well over $30,000. When someone such as a stepfather agrees to foot the bill, to foot such an expensive wedding, it's certainly a big commitment and shows how much they care about their stepdaughter. When the bride and her mother refused to even show the stepfather a hint of gratitude and respect, they felt it was no longer a responsibility to pay for such a large sum. The bridezilla. This is not the first story of a woman who used her podium of bride to treat people in a way they feel is disrespectful. There are many instances when pressure and expectations come with planning a wedding and become too much for the bride. And the term bridezilla was coined to describe this. Sometimes it's unfair because planning a wedding is stressful and challenging. Sometimes in this case, the bride's antics can distant loved ones and friends and family. Yeah, weddings are... I've seen it many times. There are some times where weddings don't even make it to the wedding part because the bride and groom can't stand each other by the end of it. And it's ridiculous. It happens rarely though. When the disgruntled stepfather made his decision to pull out from his stepdaughter's wedding, it can't have been an easy choice. After all, he had spent the last 10 years caring for her as if he was his own daughter. Feeling that the girl that you helped raise rejected you in such a way is painful and disappointing. Once he realized that the people who he felt were his family were ignoring his requests, he felt he needed to get out of the situation. Losing some money. Even though the stepfather decided to take back his money before the wedding, he still lost it. Since event vendors and venues require a deposit before the wedding, he had to call them and ask for a refund. He was able to get most of the money back, but the venue was not willing to give him a full refund. He ended up losing $1,500 in the end. But to him, it was the only choice left. Okay. This is gonna... Okay. Since I'm still thinking of what I want to play, I think I don't know what I want to play. I really don't. I mean, I guess I could play the MLB game that I have, but... we don't want to... Yeah, always get a wedding planner. Always. But wedding planners are sometimes even more expensive than the wedding is in itself. this kid messed with the wrong parent. I guess the situation is epic to me because it seems like this, like spoiled kids always are. I took my kid to a children's museum where there were toddlers. There was a specific area for toddlers with a whole grocery setup, such as like there was an 8 or 9-year-old kid in the toddler area being a pain in the rear. He kept taking all the kids' toys, hoarding all of the shopping carts, and he would hand out pieces of food to the kids, but mainly wouldn't let them touch or play with anything else. Yeah, sometimes they're more expensive, and then there are other wedding planners who will straight up just do it for free because they just want to. Think of this. Okay, you're planning someone else's wedding who you don't know their tastes, you don't know anything. You're here, you're trying to make them happy. All they're doing is being an ass. All they're doing is not listening, not giving you anything really to help. And you don't really get any recognition. And then when you straight up say it's time to pay and they don't pay you, and you get pissed and you start basically having to sue them for the money, and they don't show up to court and they ignore you and they do all this. That's what makes wedding designers have one of the toughest jobs that there are. And I, for the longest time, wanted to be one because the money is so, it's such a good way to get money. Like, starting out, you don't have a lot of money, but, well, you know, now normally I would let my own kid deal with the situation. He doesn't take crap from anybody. But they started getting into it when the kid got on my son's arm. Well, the kid hit my son. Done. I went over to the kid, got right up in his face and said, no. We do not hit. Get out. Instant tears. Dropped all the toys and left the play area. His mom caught the tail end of it. Tore him a new one. What's wrong with you? I turn around for 2 minutes and then some other parent has to come in and tell you how to behave. Unfortunately, too little, too late for that one. Yeah. Long-term memory. I played football with the local kids league. One of the kids from the other team was basically untouchable. His dad was a major sponsor of the league and would donate money for uniforms, drinks, etc. His son was a pretty good receiver but didn't like getting hit, and his parents made a big deal of leaving their son alone so he could develop his skills. He was insufferable. Again, he scored a touchdown and would do over-the-top celebrations and mock all the other parents, his teammates included. Then came high school. Most of the kids in the league ended up in one of two schools. He went to mine, and some of the other players during the tryouts did well. The coaches were mostly focused on skill and minimal contact during the first round of cuts. The final round is when things got interesting. Full contact was permitted, and he got rocked over and over again. No one was actually trying to tackle any harder than normal. It's just that this dude didn't know what to do when he got tackled, and he screamed and cried a lot. He didn't make the team until his dad came to the school and offered to donate money for uniforms and some other goodies for the sports team. He made the team, and again, we were told that, so we did, but the other teams didn't. We went up against some players he mocked previously, and they remembered our QB kept passing to him, and he was getting repeatedly smashed over and over again. It was the only time our team cheered for the other team. He quit playing football after that. Pussy. I used to play football in school, and I also used to play baseball also. I used to work in a women's shelter. For Christmas time rolls around, and a man and his sourpuss teenage son did a son like to. Okay, it's basically the kid was a cunt to his dad, and his dad made him turn in his stuff. I'd read that one before. Monkey see, monkey do. I went to a bushwalk in Singapore, and there were pretty clear signs about not feeding the monkeys, as they can get aggressive. Anyway, there are these two boys around age 8. At the age of 8, swinging and throwing sticks and rocks at the little monkey in the tree. The dad was standing there laughing, allowing this to go on. I was about to say something when the kid ripped open a bag of Skittles and started throwing them. The monkey immediately ran down from the branch, snatched a Skittle. At the same moment, 3 other monkeys came out of nowhere in an epic display of monkey justice, swarmed the kid, making them run, and their dad run away for dear life. When I was 12, my dad dated a nice lady with a bratty 9-year-old who would talk back to her and refuse to do chores, which would be passed on to me. One day at dinner table, everyone is eating, and he goes, listen, and rips a tiny fart. His mom, embarrassed, asked him to stop and go to the bathroom. Instead, he smiles a grin and rips one loose and accidentally soils himself in the middle of dinner. His expression went from horror was the best thing. I died laughing, and he ran clutching his butt away from the table. Yes. Sticks and stones might break my bone, but words will hurt me. Words will hurt me far more. I waited at the table in a breakfast diner a few years back. 2 ladies. Okay, this one's basically the kid's a fat little spoiled little fuckwad, and the server said you should be you should be more embarrassed for your mom. You should say sorry to your mom, and the kid cried. The kid took things one step too far. Yeah. I worked as an outdoor counselor. 1 week I was on logistics and had to drive the van to pick up kids. I heard from my friend that one of the kids in this group was a little brat, back-chatting, lazy, bullying other kids. When I got to the pickup point, the kid hopped into the van, and my mate was in the shotgun seat. My mate Mitch gave me the rundown of the kid. As I started the van up, I did a visual check of seatbelts, and everyone was good except for the kid. I asked. He said no. I told him I can't leave until he puts it on. So he did. I started to leave mine down, and then I hear him unclip his seatbelt. So I had to stop the van and ask if we're going to put it back on. It happened one more time. The third time, I just pulled over, turned off the van, radioed the manager, and oversees the teacher, and the overseeing teacher, who was the dean, was his dean, to come and pick up the kid who was a danger to the others in the van. That's when the kid started pleading a big, and I told him no, I already made the call. He got sent home, and my mate Mitch had one of the best weeks ever. There's a lesson to be learned here. It's treason. I've lost it. I've been reading for too long. I just thought of something. You know, a lot of these bratty kids, their parents are the kind to, you know, sue just because you exclude their child. One time I wouldn't give my daughter a push on the swing because she was whining instead of asking. She knows we won't listen to whining, but her grandpa was there, so she was testing me. When she figured out I really wasn't going to go, she grabbed the rope from the swing, flung the swing at me, it missed me, came back, it hit her right in the face. I'm sure it hurt too because it was a board with a rope through the middle. Not that I was happy to see my kid hurt over it. It taught her about karma that day. Oh yeah, bossy pants. I think I was around 9, so I made friends with another kid down the road. And his grandparents' place. It was at his grandparents' place. He visited a lot. If I remember correctly, we met through baseball. He was incredibly overweight and bossy. He said he always made the rules of the game when we played and would throw a major tantrum if I objected. Or, for instance, while playing with action figures, I had a cool toy do some flips. He went crazy saying how it needed to be realistic. The first time I visited his house, I was blown away by the volume of toys he had. Growing up fairly poor, I was accustomed to having maybe one cool toy. He had all the PlayStation games with a huge collection of anime on VHS. Not surprisingly, his parents were overweight as well and would make very dense dinners that would take me 2 days to recover from. Eventually, during one sleepover, he wanted to play wrestling. Didn't take but a second to know it was a bad idea. Him being 100 pounds plus, especially since he wanted us to be shirtless, I refused. He cried, telling me to take my shirt off and wrestle. I remember walking out, asking his mom for a ride home. She just gave me a look of, I understand. 2 days later, he shows up at my house, asking for me to come out. My brother told him that I wasn't home as I walked by the kitchen. He flipped his lid, and that was the last I heard of him. Yeah. One of my first days of a 2-week vacation, I saw my spoiled 10-year-old cousin tell his mother, his other female cousins, and his aunt and his grandmother that he wasn't going to clear the place or rinse his dishes because that's woman work. For the rest of the 2 weeks vacation, nobody had to lift a finger to clear a plate, rinse a dish or pot. Everything was his job. At the time, there were over a dozen of us there. And I'm surprised he didn't just say, fuck you. And then just say, well, I'm not doing it. I guess it's all going to stay that way until I leave. And it's like, yeah. There was actually a complete video of mine here at Uncanon. There was an actual complete video of mine. Here at Uncanon, they serve a special mac and cheese on certain days. I'm sure a lot of schools do it, but our bacon jalapeno mac and cheese was pretty darn good. Oh, jalapenos. Oh. It was darn good. Well, certain sophomores from wealthy family who used to being bailed out of trouble by his rich parents got drunk and decided he wanted some mac and cheese. He was clearly intoxicated and had the nerve to walk around the food court drinking beer. The manager sees us and wouldn't let him in the food line. As seen in... Oh my god! I've seen this video, by the way. Oh my god. Yeah, that's right. I've seen this video. Oh my god. He got arrested for it, by the way. He got fully arrested for it, too. The 10 minutes... Next 10 minutes, mercilessly beating the poor guy and his staff for being beneath him. The manager gives him so many chances to walk away. Our boy wasn't leaving without his mat. He shoves the manager, not the first time, and another employee decides he's done with his nut. The hero employee tackles the boy and pins him. The jerk spends the next few minutes pinned to the ground while the cops are screaming, "I'm absolutely screwed," and was arrested. Not his first arrest, and not his first expulsion from a college. From what I hear, he's since been arrested and expelled from another school. Well, never forget. We'll never forget you, mac and cheese kid. I've actually seen that video. It's interesting. Oh, I keep close. I guess I'll start. Definitely not the best, but it still pleases me. I used to work at a pony camp, catering to rich kids from a very nice neighbor. I guess I'll start. Definitely not the best. I used to work at a pony camp that was catering to rich kids from a very nice neighborhood. They would have really spoiled kids all the time. Well, annoying. The most frustrating part was trying to maintain authority, just so the little brats don't get themselves killed by a 1,000-pound animal. Ew. Anyway, we had this 10-year-old kid from some famous sportscaster when the kid was downright awkward. She ignored everything we told her and was mean to the other camp kids. At one point, she started physically fight with another girl. When she felt like she was getting beaten, she started yelling, "Do you know who my mom is? I'm going to tell her." The other kid got scared and started crying. The coworker replied, "Actually, I do know who your mom is, and I know she wouldn't like hearing this. Why don't I call her right now?" The little brat didn't believe her, so my coworker did. It was much easier to deal with for the rest of it. It turns out the coworker worked with her mom many times over the years, and she's a personal makeup artist for TV, and did her makeup more than a few times. Suck it, spoiled brat. Do you know who my dad is? Do you know who my parents are? Oh, yes, I do. And I'm pretty sure your ass is grass when I tell them. This reminded me of a story maybe 5 years ago. I was at my friend's house, and his two boys, 5 and 3, were playing outside in the front yard. And the neighbor, roughly 8 years old, runs up screaming. 8-year-old runs up screaming, pushes the 3-year-old off his bike. The 5-year-old runs over screaming, "That's my brother," and pushes the kid over and starts pummeling and kicking his head. The kid runs off crying, forgetting about it a few hours later. We get a knock at the door, and it's the boy's father. His father told the son, the mother told get a knock on the door, boys, and the father told his son got beat up and came over to talk to a friend, assuming the friend was the kid's fault. He explained what happened, and the kid says, "You deserve it and you got beat up by a 5-year-old. How do you feel? You're grounded," and takes him home. Oh yeah. You deserved it, and you got beat up by a 5-year-old. How do you feel? You're grounded, and takes him home. don't mess with future Olympians. I used to work at a non-overnight summer camp, and after school program, and a long week at soccer camp. The town isn't huge, and needless to say, over a few years, I got several kids from different programs. One 10-year-old boy I knew from school was a total prick, bully snob, and didn't think he had to listen. Tattletale personal pet peeve, just awful. He came to the soccer camp and proceeded to make fun of an 8-year-old girl because she had old cleats and he had the newest Nikes and brand new cool design ball. Unfortunately for him, I also knew that this 8-year-old girl knew the reason for the cleats looked old and warm. She was a freaking beast. Just all around amazing athlete who loved soccer, and I can't turn that on. I don't even have CenturyLink anymore. Beast, and all around amazing athlete who loved soccer and played hours every day. I paired him with her for the simple drill where one person started with the ball and you just try to get past the other ball. Person kicks the ball, stationary ball cone 10 yards away to simulate passing, scoring accurately while under pressure. He was of course angry that she was too young and a girl. I said if he hit the cone 3 times, he could pay the ball. He again pointed out her shoes and as if it was going to change my mind before she proceeded to humiliate him over the next few minutes, not noticing, not once letting him dribble past her 5 attempts. He was livid. Bending down, messing with the laces of the shoe really mattered, and saying he needed to use his ball. Nothing worked. He was so angry that I thought he was going to get violent, but then it was her turn to be offensive. He talked some kind of smack, I forgot what, and I refused to let her use his ball. She didn't say a word, got a new ball got a new ball. I blew the whistle and she did a step over fake, which made him move to the side. She stood back up straight and kicked between his legs and hit the cone. She barely even moved. He was so freaking angry. Second round, he clearly charged her screaming. She kept her cool, wound back like she was going to drill him in the dumb face. He ducked, squealed as she dribbled around him, and his hands covering his head and hit the cone. I didn't make her embarrass him for the remaining 3 attempts. I called a water break and the kid just was downtrodden. He honestly thought his shoes were going to make him better without any effort. He was better behaved for the rest of the week, but honestly, I don't think she broke his spirit. He just seemed out of it. I hope he's doing well. And the girl is like an all-American school soccer player last I checked. Wouldn't be surprised if she made the Olympics one day. Oh, the smile I have right now. Because I used to know people like that. I've gone up against people like that before. People making fun of the things I have just because I'm poor and stuff. And it's like, it's fucking disgusting and gross. Not incredibly epic and not much of a comeuppance, but great nonetheless. I was on a flight from Washington to Dulles to Heathrow. Washington Dulles to Heathrow. Jesus Christ. This 6 to 8 year old kid behind me was screaming the whole overnight flight, constantly whining his mom for food, toys, and what the hell ever. The mom was like, shh, honey, no, honey, shh, sweetheart, tight. Finally, the mom decided to get up and use the restroom. His kid started wailing. The guy next to me leaned over to his seat and turned around and said, "Hey kid, shut the fuck up." The whole plane didn't clap, but we enjoyed the 5 minutes of dead silence until the mom came back. Variety is the spice of life. Okay. One of my son's little friends from school, once a week. One of my son's little friends from school, once a week for a play date. Once a week for a play date. I'm an idiot and reading it wrong. When his mom comes to get him, she tells him to help pick up and go get his shoes. He doesn't listen 9 out of 10 times. So I said it once, off he goes. The kid hears it from their parent all day. Sometimes it needs to hear it from someone else. It's a running joke, and now we help each other's kids what to do. Mom's voice works. Cool. Don't pick the flowers. Okay. This is basically Catholic high school telling you kids basically don't be jerks. I was at the Vancouver Aquarium in the school field trip for my kids, a few other families. One family thought their crap instinct and would do everything to push their way to the front, not pay for anything, etc. Their kids had Heelys, fucking stupid Heelys, and the park was pretty busy. The little rats would run into people and just skate away without a word. We were sitting waiting for the Beluga show. Belugas are douchebags. Beluga show, and started. One of these kids came buzzing from the stage left on his stupid Heelys and hit a wet patch, and his feet go flying from under him, and he lands flat on his back with a giant puddle of water and about puddle in front of the entire club. Everyone starts laughing. It was glorious. 24, surprise. Reed, he was at a family event for my girlfriend of the time. One of her cousin's kids was just running around making a ruckus in spite of numerous times, telling him to settle down. Eventually, he took interest in a motion-activated Glad air freshener. Oh no! I've had those things spray in my face. It's not pleasant. I'm 6'4", and everything in our house is sort of below my neck, so sometimes the air fresheners will hit me right in the face, and it's like, lovely. He'd been turned off because it would be spraying nonstop with the people around. So the little 6-year-old bugger is standing on his tiptoes, ignoring the constant warnings, "Don't touch that, please," and reaching over and pushing the button. It eventually happens. He flipped the switch on, and 3 seconds later gets a direct blast of Glade to the face. I worked at a Taco Bell in HS. At the time, we had meals. This kid comes in with his parents and orders a meal. I've been reading for 2 hours. Okay. Orders a meal. Apparently, he had been in recently and had already had a toy. He starts screaming at me to get him a toy. His dad looked at me with an absolute dejected look on his face and begged me to go get him a toy. Get him the toy. I dug through the new box of toys and found one. The kid ripped it out of my hand and ran outside directly into a rose bush. My coworker was legit laying on the ground laughing. Arf, arf, arf. I'm gonna just say, nah, this kid's an idiot, rich, spoiled little fuckwad. With a little help from my friends. I was 15. I was in the woods with some friends, local public nature reserve, playing on a rope swing, drinking energy drinks and eating snacks, chatting, just to have a good time keeping to ourselves. The rope swing itself was on a tall tree, hanging over what I can only explain as a miniature valley, 2 small hills, a gap in the middle. The rope swing was on one side, but will reach the other. When some kid comes along, maybe 10 to 12, dressed in a tracksuit and quite mouthy, you know the type, told us to move along from their rope swing. It wasn't theirs. I set the thing up myself because I was like Spider-Man kid back then. I could climb anything. Obviously, we said no, but we did say we'll leave it for them if they want to have a go. There's no reason we all can't enjoy it. They all wouldn't take that answer. They wouldn't take that answer. So we carried on playing on the rope swing, but then they began throwing sticks and rocks at us. Didn't faze us. The next thing one of them tries to show us the speed down the hill on his bike, try to grab me while I swing. But this mate throws a stick, but his mate throws a stick at the same time, and it lodges in his wheels, sending him flying down the hill. Tad, insult to injury. He flies right in the swing path and gets kicked in the ribs, completely took the wind out of him. So they all left feeling defeated. It feels good because we did nothing out of order, and the cards just worked in our favor. Revenge. My friend grew up in a small town and would occasionally build forts in fields surrounding the town. We had cool little areas but turned out where there were some other kids, 3 brothers that had a fort nearby, and we would try to sneak up and spy on each other's every once in a while. While we play some man tracker like game. Generally good times, until the little brothers started being a stain. At one point, he threw a large rock at my friend and gave him an ice gash, and threw a chunk of dirt at our other friend's face. Then the dad came out and started yelling at us for some reason. The 2 brothers didn't even try defending their little brat's actions either. The next day, me and my friends got hit with rocks, showed earlier before the kids got there. The other kid's fort was old upside down minecart, and they dug an entrance to the hole in an exit hole. And I had this idea. Although it was brilliant, I tried to take a dump in their entrance. I was 15, 16, so I did. It was the perfect turd. Not too wet, not too dry. I tossed a little danger of dirt over it to hide it. Then I went back to our fort and watched and waited. Not too long later, I saw them approaching. They were giddy with excitement. The bratty little brother was first, tried to crawl in the fort. In consequences, ended up screaming with hands smeared with the turd. No regrets. It's funny though. Lightsaber brings out the real you. Not the greatest, but it felt amazing at that moment. Not the good. We moved into a newly built neighborhood when I was 10. So someone there had just moved in within about a year. There were a handful of us that were the same age, so we were all trying to make friends with each other at the same time. All of us were at the low end of the middle class, except for one kid, who was the youngest in his family, and his dad had gotten a 7-figure dismemberment settlement from an accident. He got whatever he wanted from this point forward. He would flex on us even though none of us called it that. Whenever he could, he ended up being one of the worst whenever he could, he would end up being worst bullies I had growing up. One time when we were 11, Attack of the Clones was about to come out, and we were all hyped about buying lightsabers and fighting with them. 4 or 5 of us were playing in our house. In my house was in Finch Bay. They kept bragging about his more expensive lightsaber and how it could destroy ours in a fight, while sitting on the side and not actually fighting anyone. We all got sick of it and called him out, and he came to fight me with my $9 Qui-Gon saber. 10 seconds in, I accidentally hit his finger, which happened constantly in this fight. He immediately started screaming and crying. The rest of us got silent and shocked at how much he overreacted. He threw his saber across the room and ran out of the house. He kept being a garbage pile until we both graduated and moved away. But for a long time, no one would let him forget what a whiny baby he was in a lightsaber fight. I was in a park with my brother, my brother's wife and their daughter, my niece, and oversaw this exchange. A young kid around 5 to 7 being obnoxious. Every 15 minutes or so, his grandparents are to gather his... Oh, yeah, they just basically give away his toys. Affluenza? How about that kid... How about that kid who tried to get off from killing 4 people in a drunk driving accident by claiming he was suffering from affluenza? Being too rich to know right from wrong, he was actually caught after fleeing to Mexico and ended up serving 2 years in prison. Yeah, him and his mom ended up doing that. Didn't witness this personally, but I went to high school in a super affluent area. And a few years after, I graduated with a bunch of kids. Got busted. A few years later, after I graduated, a bunch of kids got busted. Paid his tutor for a flash drive, which key to sweeping code, several teachers' passwords, and changing his and his friend's grade in the system. They made the argument that, in the defense, that it wasn't their fault. They were so wealthy that they used to being handed things, and that they didn't know how to work for them. Affluenza, whatnot. Got expelled, made national news for their arrogance, and all other districts in the area argued over who would take them because nobody wanted to. Wow. I will be right back, guys. fantasy league on. My alma mater made national news when a prom draft ring was exposed, where guys would get together and have a fantasy football style draft over who got whom for prom. It was exposed, and after girls complained to the administration that she didn't want to go to prom with a guy who picked her in the draft, and the guy threw a hissy fit because apparently he had paid up a bunch of people to get first pick, thus he owned her on prom night. Everyone in the draft got suspended and banned from prom, if I remember correctly. Arrogant rich kids. I threw Justice from the Ghetto. I grew up in the ghetto, so parents usually stayed inside, neglected kids, and told them to play on the street. So one day I'm outside playing with my friends, around 10 at the time, and she's 7, and an actual 3-year-old started calling around the 10, and at the time she's 3, and 3-year-olds, and started calling us everything you can imagine. The kid ends up biting me, so I got over and told his dad Dad calls me a B. Great. Sometime the same week, the kid got her. Another kid is calling us poor and ugly once again, bitches. So I'm fed up with this. He's sitting over a rain drain, so I grab his payday bar that he was apparently saved up his money for. He's like 6 and threw it down the drain. Starts crying, "I'm gonna tell Mama. Mama's gonna beat your ass." I sit around while he tells his mama a few houses out. He comes back with all wretched that Mom wants to talk to you. So I go over to his house and Mom says, "What did you do?" I heard his side, I want yours. The kid's smile immediately drops. I tell her about the harassment. She smiles in the sweetest smile before beating his backside in front of me. Justice from the ghetto, everyone. Thank kids, Mama. Peace, my nigga, peace. Peace to your ass. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry he did that to you. Come here. Oh. Oh, you got your ass beat. Little boy got his cheeks cut by his mama. Ooh, the beating. I used to babysit a boy down the street. His parents gave him everything he wanted. One time he shot a window out with a BB gun. And when his neighbor came over to talk to his parents, the dad basically took the position that his boy was too little to understand. He wasn't. He gave the kid a bowl of ice cream, apparently 40 and unemployed, the kid a bowl of ice cream, and gave his kid a bowl of ice cream. Apparently he's 40, unemployed, and alcoholic. He has been bouncing around recovery house, getting kicked out for not following the rules.
stay in your lane. Okay. I played Teppan bowling as a kid. I was in a league. Or 10-pin, or sorry, stupid brain. Work! I played 10-pin bowling when I was a kid. I was in a league. In one of our tournaments, we often had free lanes next to us. We could take practice shots. Kids from another lane got it into his head that he could just walk over to us and use our lane to practice in. He just didn't want... He also didn't want us to rest our feet on the little leg that was mired behind him. I was a shy kid, but I still got up and in front of him. He was adamant, so I sat down. My father got up, grabbed him by the shoulder, turned around in his face, gave him a quiet but very stern lecture. He never bothered us again. Not really epic or spoiled, but a counterparative for a kid. I was quite pleased. You know what? I have an idea for a game. I have a great idea for a game. After I'm done reading this, though. When I was in about 3rd grade, there was a 7th grader who rode my bus who decided he was going to kick my butt at the end of the day when we got off. I don't remember the reason, but it was something stupid. He was just going to be a bully and pick on the chubby kid. Anyway, a bunch of 8th graders heard about it, and they got off and beat his butt for picking on the kid almost half his age. Later that evening, my mom gets a call from his complaining that I got people to beat up her son. But once the details came out, he just got in more trouble, and my mom was attempting to stifle her laughter. Speaking of, I went to a local high school set in Nazi Germany. 2 rich girls with fancy handbags, etc., sat in the row in front of me. They spent the whole show talking quite loudly. It's basically they were told, okay, I've read some of these, so these girls are being dicks, and they were told to shut the fuck up. Blocking him out. I remember being 5 or something, and 2 kids were hogging all the blocks of one of the big Lego block pits in their little castle. I asked for some, and he threw it at me. He probably was standing on a stack of blocks that took out to look over the wall. So I tossed one block back, knowing he would throw it back when he peeked. I tossed it straight for his forehead. He found on probably broke something, but Jesus Christ. One of hell of a satisfying right between the eyes, and I remember it clearly. I love Legos. Worked at Chuck E. Cheese for a year. Some kid would, do you know who my dad is, what he can do to you, blah, 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 blah. And it's basically the dad came in and basically gave away the kid's stuff. Think fast. I was on the bus a year or 2 back when the kid and his mom were seated in front of me. The kid kept screeching out, I want to press the button. You press the button to notify the bus driver that you need to get off at the next stop, because he liked the beep it made. Every single bus stop, the little twat screeched and asked if he could press it. Finally, his mom let him press it. I pressed it. It only beeps for the first person who read it. The little brat cried. And getting the real story. I worked at an Apple store, dude. The dude comes in with his iPhone and tells me that he wants a new iPhone. And it's basically he breaks the phone. Sold to the highest bidder. Mitch got
everything he wanted. Granted that he was smart and ambitious, but also prudent and sloppy. The combination made him virtually hated by everyone. Like, more than most people did, I hated him. Paraphrase Al Franken on Ted Cruz. The third grade class would get a Monopoly-esque money for auction of toys at the end of the year. If you were bad, you had to pay money. If you were a little, like Mitch, you were filthy rich. At the end of the year, Mitch surveyed all the toys and calculated how many brownie points it would take to swipe the best stuff. One by one, Mitch swiped the best toys, always bidding perfectly at the end. Mitch had most of the coveted toys. Tabled Chia Pet, Bent had the second most money, timidly started bidding. Mitch tried with him and gradually raised the price, and Bent had to go all out. Mitch raised the bid by a small margin, and then Susan, who also had a Nerf gun, gave her sizable pile to Bent and raise. Mitch panicked and continued his money bid higher, but it was already too late. All of the people he had screwed suddenly turned the auction into a popularity contest, and Brent delivered the final vote. Mitch freaked the heck out in the most satisfying meltdown. If he had just tried to get a few things, no one would have wanted to screw him. But leaving so many people with so much worthless cash, he had truly hosted his own petard. Screw Mitch, LOL. Respect my authority! Fucking Cartman's an asshole. I used to work at a security hospital, and he likes scaring little kids so that they don't whine at their parents. A Redditor was in line at a Burger King. Behind him, a line was a woman and her kid. The kid kept screaming and yelling that he wanted an apple pie. The mom looked like she was so beat down and was hardly fighting back. The kid was screaming loud enough at this point that the whole restaurant here it began. She eventually caved and said, "You can have one." When the Redditor got in front of the line and asked the person how many apple pies they have, they tell him and he buys all of them. He ate it one by one and made sure the kid saw him and threw the rest in the trash. Wow, serious effort at discipline. My nephew, by marriage, is a jerk. I had to drive him once, and he kept messing around with the windows. So I locked him, and then he started insistently pushing the door like one. So I stopped holding back funds and stopped opening the windows. And let me tell you, this was during the phase in my life when my parts felt like they might be suffering from some sort of chronic necrosis. He gagged and sputtered and threatened to throw up. It didn't matter. I kept farting. In fact, at a certain point, I thought I might crap my pants. I didn't care. I was willing to do it just to make the bugger suffer a bit. Take that, Ethan. Oh! Blast off. Neil Armstrong's nephew or grandson, whatever, attended the space camp one week, and he's an asshole. Neil Armstrong's cousin or little nephew person thing was an asshole, and he got paid for it. And he paid for it, so... Okay. Okay. Let's start. It's the suffering, the ties that bind. I was playing this, I played the first a little bit of it a while back, and I saw it and I was like, okay, I might as well play. Probably won't get super popular, but...
is MC25 to life. And I want you to know, I am calm like a bomb. Let me tell you, I done seen more dead seals today than I ever dreamed I would. And I want to say, it's all that is coming. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I like it.
Can anybody hear me? You've got to let me in! They're all dead out here! I lost my keys! Open the door, please! Is anybody in there? They're everywhere!
Really?
No. Oh, no. Oh, fuck. You gotta get up this fucking piece of shit. No mistake. Shut off the gas.
That wasn't right. I shouldn't have done that.
Can anybody hear me? You've got to let me in! They're all dead out here! I lost my keys! Open the door, please! Is anybody in there? They're everywhere!
Hear ye, hear ye. This is Radio Free Avenue. The inmates are running the show now, suckers. This is MC 25 to life. I want you to know, I am calm like a bomb. Let me tell you, I done seen more dead CEOs today than I ever dreamed I would. And I want to say, they all had it coming. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but
they won't leave you alone until you do it.
I think next Teaching Tuesday, what I'm going to do is
to see the real you. can't put it off forever. This place is stronger than you.
Show me why you're in here. About you. Death is our stock and trade here, Dad, but the final solution. I am one of the few who will admit that. First it giveth, then it taketh away.
I've been here a long time. I don't understand much about this place, but I know your being here ain't no coincidence.
Well, well, well. Look what we have here. How long I have been waiting to encounter such a fascinating specimen. My understanding is you've had periodic blackouts since... when was it? Ah, yes. Early adolescence. Ever wonder what happened during those blackouts? Would you say you have visions of bloodshed? Yes, surely there is bloodshed.
You've seen death, right? I read about your life, you sick bastard. Put me to shame. I never got to snuff a woman. But did you really do it? Because we get innocent guys in here. Innocent until presumed guilty. It doesn't affect me doing my job, though. Above all else, I am a professional. I am dedicated to the work. Nothing compares to the deep satisfaction of terminating human life. But you already know it.
You had a wife, right? Did you love her? How far would you go to make sure she stayed yours? When you get mad, you feel you could kill a man, rip him apart with your bare hands. You feel that way? Well, maybe you're not like me. It's hard to say. You gotta fight it. Don't let this place do to you what it did to me.
I can give you control if you really want to. First, you've got to show me. Come on now. Give it a try for me, won't you?
Blackout sounds like a convenient excuse to me.
I can only help you.
I can't put it off forever. This place is strong. Man's gotta do. You can't be helped.
Don't worry. A good thing only lasts so long.
I really like this game. It's kind of fun.
I know what's coming. Just... Where the fuck are you? What's taking so long? Do it. Fucking do it! Just fucking kill me!
Probably should have stepped a little farther back. Oops.
Fuck, you fucking monstrosity! Just pull the goddamn trigger! Where the fuck are you?
Daddy, help me, Daddy. It's so dark here. What's going on, Dad? Daddy? No, I don't want to see it. No, Daddy, no.
I will be right back, guys.
They're spies for the Nazis. They're a threat to our security. I'm supposed to goddamn airplane?
But sir,
This prison is my command. I am God here. You will follow my orders. Seems you are like me. You know just as good as I do. A crime of passion ain't no crime at all.